The first bite of pumpkin pie of the year, that just hits different.
Cooking from scratch takes time and effort, but after you've made a beautiful and delicious dish, you always know the energy was well worth it. Or was it? Because there's always that little voice in the back of your head screaming, you could have just bought this from the store, you idiot. So today we're answering a very timely and important question, pumpkin pie. Should you buy it or should you cook it? All right, so Thanksgiving's coming up. Happy Thanksgiving, Harry. Happy Thanksgiving, Ron. And that means pumpkin pie. And that means you are going to be faced with the decision, should you go and just buy a pumpkin pie from the store or should you make it from scratch? So I'm gonna be going head to head with the best pumpkin pie in the game. This is a Costco pumpkin pie. It only costs $6. It feeds 12 people. That's 50 cents a slice. But I think I got some tricks up my sleeve to make a better pumpkin pie myself. But at the end, we're gonna determine whether it was all worth it. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and taste this pie, see if I can decode it, what Costco's doing good, what I can do gooder. Let's dig in. Get yourself some pre-made whipped cream, throw some on there. What's a pumpkin pie without whipped cream? If we look at it, it's obviously got this very like factory-made prefab crust, and it looks a little bit crumbly, but I feel like it's gonna be wet and dense at the bottom.
The first bite of pumpkin pie of the year, that just hits different.
So it's a really like even, uniform, nice and fudgy texture on the pie. It's honestly a little bit grainy. I think if we go a little bit more custardy on ours, we're gonna be more successful. That said, this is a very, very good pumpkin pie. But certain things that I think we can do to make it even better, we're gonna toast up our spices fresh. The step they're probably skipping, it's really gonna express that deep pumpkin spice basic flavor that we really want. And then the crust. I think we can get a much flakier, crispier crust with a couple steps. We got a secret weapon in our hiding in our microwave. You'll see that later. So let's make a pie. All right, so the first step to making a pie, we have to make the crust. Step one, you're gonna wanna use flour. So this is just AP flour, and we're just gonna get that into our food processor, and then we are going to take a small amount of sugar, or as I call it, sweet salt, and then we're gonna take a little bit of salt, as I call it, salt sugar. That's confusing. You should need to know how to make this. That was salt and sugar. We have a full recipe in the description below, by the way. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add our butter a little bit at a time. We're gonna run this, and we're gonna drop it through what's called a butter hole, also known as a bee hole. So you wanna slowly insert the butter into the bee hole. You can turn it off, you can pulse it a little bit. And so the reason we have the butter cut up and cold is that we don't want it to fully like mix into the flour. We want to have solid beads that go into the bee hole. When the butter is whole in chunks, it's going to melt and actually steam through the pie crust. That's the sound it makes when it steams. It goes woo, 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 and it's gonna create like little air pockets and make your dough extra crispy. So we're gonna just pulse it a little bit. There we go. I'm gonna take this out and just show you what we're working with and what we want to go for. You want little like gravel-sized pieces of butter in there. It shouldn't be pulsed too fine, and you can feel that your flour is still super, super cold, and just get it all over your workstation. That's the key to this. So we have all our dry ingredients pulsed up in here. Now we need to add our wet ingredients. I mentioned I had a surprise in the microwave. That was vodka. Again, I keep all my vodka in the microwave because when you want freshly microwaved vodka, you can just press add 30 seconds, and then boom, you got hot vodka straight to the dome. But we want this cold, so we set our microwave to cold setting. That means nothing. You want your vodka cold, to be clear. So we're gonna slowly stream in our wet ingredients. Just drip it right into that bee hole. A little bit of water. We're just gonna let it pulse. And then we want a shot of vodka. This is actually a double shot. This is running more, about a quarter cup. There we go. I'm gonna alternate vodka and water. We want everything slowly incorporate, but again, make sure everything is ice cold. Yeah, there we go. That's the sound that we want. That's the sound that we want. Add the rest of that in. I'm just gonna give it a nice shake for good luck. So the reason we added vodka in there is because alcohol evaporates at a lower temperature than water. So similar to the way the butter is going to evaporate and create little air pockets to make your crust extra crispity and crunchity and delicious, vodka is going to do the same thing. So you don't want any loose flour at the bottom of the mixer. You want your dough to kind of be a somewhat solid log. That way you can kind of wrap it up, get it in the fridge, and then it'll be good to roll out later. So we got the doughs out of the fridge. We have them plastic wrapped. We just need one. Always a good idea to have a backup dough or make another pie. Throw a bunch of turkey and gravy and cranberry sauce into a pie. Make a little turkey pot pie. Make a little hot pocket, you know, which technically is a sandwich. So I'm gonna go ahead and unwrap this dough. You want your dough to be as cold as possible. That way all of it is gonna stay nice and crispy. It's not crispy now. It's gonna stay nice and crispy when you bake it, the colder it is. So now we start the long drawn out process of rolling out. Just fast forward through this part. Fast Rootin likes my tweet on Twitter. I think we can get him on the show. What we're gonna do with the pie crust, we are going to crimp it. You saw on the Costco pie, they had those little like machine factory made patterns, but today we are the machine. We have to be the factory to make patterns. Never throw a knife to yourself, even if it's just a couple inches. Although I know you wanna practice your knife fighting techniques, don't do it. Thanksgiving's not the time, although it might be the perfect time. We're gonna leave about 1 inch around. Just try and trace it as evenly as possible. All right, we're almost done cutting this out. Beautiful. Though I did not study geometry, I did study traditional calligraphy. That was for my debutante ball, though, not for school. There can be male debutantes. They're called debutantes. I had a ball and everything, it was great. But everyone was wearing like the little hats in the back of your head. A lot of like chair dancing. Oh, well, that's a bar mitzvah. All right, so we have our circular pie crust. So now we're just gonna pop this into the pie plate. You wanna make sure you're very ginger with it. Make sure to try and really get a lot of surface area so none of it is sticking to your board. I like to throw my forearm kind of underneath. Yeah. And then there's like a tool that you can use to accomplish that. I don't have it. You're gonna get here and you want an even amount on each side to come around the edge of the pie plate, and you wanna push it down into the sides. Sort of fold the crust underneath to give it like a little nice ridged, even layer across the top. All right, so when all the dough is folded over, you're just gonna take one finger and you're just gonna sort of crimp the dough around that finger to create these nice little ridges. Beat that, Costco! Your $5 rotisserie chickens and your large bags of fruit and nut mix that I really lived off in college. Thank you for that. All right, so we're just gonna finish crimping this up and then we're gonna let it rest in the fridge, and then we gotta dock it, we gotta bean it, we gotta blind bake it, we gotta put our pie in there, and then we gotta dump a whole lot of love in there. Have I not dumped enough love for you yet? So we have our fully crimped pie crust that has been resting in the fridge. Now we have to do what is a process known as docking. Don't Urban Dictionary it. So we have a tool called a docker right here, and all this is going to do, we're gonna roll it across the pie. It's gonna add little holes, little perforations in it that is going to give the steam a place to go so it doesn't create air bubbles in your pie crust. You could use a fork to do this, but if you got a docker, do some docking, you know? So I'm just gonna roll that across. Yeah, get holes all across it. We're using beans as pie weights here. We're gonna let this rest on there as we blind bake our crust. Now, a blind bake refers to you putting the crust in the oven to cook before you actually fill it. For something like a fruit pie, I wouldn't do that because the longer you cook a fruit pie, the more sugars are gonna develop, etc. But for pumpkin pie, which is essentially a custard pie, the filling is very temperamental, so it is very time specific. So we need to time it right. That's why we're blind baking. So we're gonna blind bake it for about 12 minutes with the pie weight, then remove that, then keep it going. Oh, and that oven's at about 350. It's a South Park, from one episode of South Park.
Put the pie in the oven!
Yeah, no, Ben, I'm gonna need about 350. So now we have to make the pumpkin pie filling. So we are just using canned pumpkin. I've tried making it before with fresh pumpkin, but it kind of sucks because canned pumpkin is not actually pumpkin. We're gonna, oh crap, dude. Should we do that on the podcast?
We can talk about it now.
Well, you don't want to talk about it with me on the podcast?
I do, but like...
Our podcast called A Hot Dog is a Sandwich that comes out on Wednesday wherever you get your podcasts.
Talk about it a little bit.
Okay, so canned pumpkin is actually made from something that is called a Dickinson squash. The company Libby's specifically bred this variety of pumpkin to be better for pies. So like, don't go through the effort of using a whole pumpkin yourself. It's gonna come out kind of watery and a little bit stringy. So the thing that we can do to make this pie better than Costco is toasting up our spices. So I'm using pre-made pumpkin pie spice. All we do is add that to a pan on low heat. I'm just gonna toast it up just to get it a little bit fragrant before we add it to our pies. And then we're gonna take our pumpkin puree and we're just gonna, and then we are going to add evaporated milk as well. You gotta stick your thumb right in it when you do it. That's the technique. The sweat from your thumb will actually season your pie a little bit. So we're gonna add that evaporated milk right in there. And then we're also gonna add in brown sugar and white sugar. Brown sugar is gonna give you that little bit of molassesy taste to it, but you don't want too much of that to really overpower the spices. And then salt. And then we're just gonna go ahead and whisk this up. You wanna always whisk your sugar with a fair amount of the wet ingredients because that way it is going to actually dissolve. All right, so we're also going to be adding in a little bit of maple syrup. Maple to me is such like a fun, maple to me is such a fun fall flavor. I went right to Ina Garten on that. So I'm gonna whisk in the maple syrup. I really love that combination. We're also gonna add in a little bit of flour. That's just gonna help tighten up our pie. Kind of the same theory about like adding a little bit of flour into a cheesecake, right? It's just gonna absorb some of that excess moisture, so you're gonna still keep it nice and custardy and eggy and all that deliciousness with just that little bit of structure to really hold it all together. We're gonna take all of our toasted spices, make sure you give the pan a nice thwap, really get it in there. Then you're just gonna whisk that together. And you'll probably notice, I got these little things here. It's sort of like, I don't know what you'd call it, like an unborn fetus, but of a chicken. So it's really exciting. So I'm gonna crack these in individually because I don't like to do it at the beginning because sometimes the whites can kind of like get stringy and you don't have them all incorporated in. We're just gonna crack the eggs in one at a time and whisk. All right, and you'll notice this looks very liquidy right now, but once all those sugars tighten, once the flour starts to absorb some of that moisture. All right, and then one last ingredient. Speaking of beans, vanilla beans from Madagascar. Just gonna go ahead and drop in about a half teaspoon of that in there. To me, vanilla in almost any baking recipe just sort of like heightens the flavors of anything. It's almost like seasoning things with salt. It's just that little kind of baseline that you get in the background. It's that sort of perfumey, pheromonic smell. Why do I describe everything in weird terms? So now I'm gonna take this and all we're gonna do is dump it into our crust. If you see our crust, it's got like the tiniest bit of golden brown on it. This is after that blind bake. It is nice and flush against the bottom. We're gonna add the custard to it and it's gonna bake for about 70 minutes and that should create the perfect thermal equilibrium to have a set and cooked custard and a perfectly golden brown delicious crust. I like to leave about a centimeter of room between the crust and the filling because I do love that little bite of naked crust at the end. So we're gonna go ahead and put this in the oven for about 70 minutes. I'm going top rack on it, not like super top. So we got the Costco pie here and you will notice that I never took my pie out of the oven. That is because we had to let it set up for 6 hours. You'll also see the Costco pie is considerably bigger than our pie, which she looks gorgeous. Look at her glow. So you could make the judgment on looks alone that like this is bigger and more impressive, but we've put so much love and care and attention into this. This cost $7.28 to make, which leaves it at 91 cents per serving compared to 50 cents per serving. But cost is not the only factor. This is about taste, baby. This is about all that love and flavor rolling around across your tongue, through the back of your palate, and the other parts of the mouth that I didn't mention, like the teeth. So we're gonna go. What I'm saying is I'm gonna slice these up and try them. Throw a little whipped cream on there. Dust a little invisible cinnamon on there. Hell yeah. All right, Costco pie. We know what this tastes like. Just a little refresher. Still pretty dang good pie. Flavors are a little bit muted. Crust is a little bit kind of chewy and gummy. And now for ours. Golly, unbelievable looking. Like the perfect, to me, crust to filling ratio. Yeah. The flavors are absolutely paying off. It is the texture to me that is the biggest thing. You can actually see the different textures here. You see this is kind of crumbly, almost got that sandy texture, and then this is just so smooth. The spices are so much more pronounced in this one, and the crust holds up so much better. You get that textural contrast of silken custard to crispity, crunchity, crustity. I am absolutely in love with the pie that we made, but that said, I have so many biases. I know the time, I know the price, I know how much love I put into there. We need to take all those biases out of the equation. That's why we are asking some blind taste testers from the Mythical crew who don't know nothing about food to see if they can taste the difference and which one they prefer. So let's just, what do we do? Just send a van and throw them in there? Annalise. You are our first blind taste tester today. Nod if you understand. Nod diagonally if you understand. Yeah, that's good, that's good. Dave, and before us, there are two pies. We have pie A and pie B. Nod if you understand.
I cannot see.
Chase.
Yeah.
Okay, he cannot see. He would have reached out and grabbed that if he could see. Okay, I'm going to feed you a bite of pie A, and then I will ask you a series of questions. It is important that you answer the questions as honestly as possible.
I feel the stress of like a glasses appointment where if you don't answer right, your glasses are gonna turn out bad.
Yeah. So I don't go to doctors.
Okay.
Open, there, get it? Yeah, that's nice. Ooh, it's like feeding a horse. All right. Think about it, let the flavors ruminate. What do you like about this pie?
Oh, very soft.
Cinnamon is very strong though.
I really like the pumpkin pie part of it. Like versus the crust. There's the pumpkin, I don't know what the two parts of the pie are
the
called.
filling.
It tastes good, tastes like fall.
What do you dislike about this pie?
I think it's too gooey.
This one was kind of breaking apart a little too much in my mouth.
I think I didn't like the crust mushed in with the pie part so easily. Do we have whipped cream?
Yes. Do you want some whipped cream straight to the dome?
Yeah.
This is a nice little cream. There it is. On a scale of 1 to 10, how flaky would you describe this crust?
5.
8.
1.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how creamy is the filling?
It was very creamy. 8.
7.
6.
How perfectly spiced is the pie?
An 8. It was really well spiced, but I could use a little bit more.
I think I would score it at 6.
8. Could be more.
Is this pie a Carrie, a Samantha, or a Miranda?
I don't know.
Okay, so let me tell you.
No,
So
I don't.
Carrie, right? She's got a job that she absolutely loves.
The description for this pie is like, doesn't step out of the comfort zone and is like getting like very like, I don't know.
Charlotte. Pies
It's
of Charlotte.
Charlotte?
Yeah. No, it's the perfect answer.
Okay.
Okay.
It's Carrie. That's, yeah, it feels like a Carrie to me.
I think this is Mr. Big.
That's a good reference.
There
That's
we go.
good to know.
Yeah.
He doesn't deserve you, frankly. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this pie overall?
Oh boy. Ooh, this is a big one. That's a 7.
5.
A 7.
I will now feed you a bite of pie B. In 3, 2, I like to surprise.
All right.
Going into the hanger.
Whoa, very different.
The crust didn't just like form in with the pie filling. So I liked that I could taste both.
I like the filling, and I really do think there was a little bit more spice in there, or maybe just a different blend of spice.
Is there anything you can identify that you dislike about this pie?
I would say there needs to be a bit more cinnamon.
I dislike this crust more. The other crust was better.
How flaky is the crust?
That crust, 10.
10.
5,
On a scale of 1 to 10, how creamy is this filling?
8.
10. It's very creamy. I like it a lot.
8.
How perfectly spiced is this pie?
9.
9.
Is this a Carrie, a Samantha, or a Miranda?
Whoever won the Emmys.
I believe that was Sarah Jessica Parker.
There we go.
As Carrie.
Yeah, I think it's a Miranda because I think it's just like, I am what I am, and this is exactly what I want with my life.
Yeah, she shouldn't have to settle if she doesn't want to.
No, not at all.
I just think that pumpkin pie in general is not this like adventurous, flirty, fun pie, which
it
makes me think
can be.
Miranda.
What would you rate this pie overall from 1 to 10?
I would give it an 8.
10.
10 out of 10.
I think I'm gonna give B an 8.
Wow, holy farting shat bills. We got the numbers in from our taste test. So, everyone preferred the homemade pie. It outscored the Costco pie 26 to 19. Honestly, I thought it would have been closer than that because I do love the Costco pie, but when I tasted the homemade one next to it, it was clear that this was flakier, it was creamier, it was spicier, and all three of our blind taste testers confirmed that. Now, taste is not the only factor here. We talked about this pie is $6 for a pie that feeds 12 people. We spent $7.28 to make this pie that feeds 8. So per serving, the homemade pie is actually more expensive, almost twice as expensive, probably because we poured some liquor into the crust, but that's what made it so much flakier. Also, homemade pie took about 6 hours and 45 minutes when you factor everything into the equation, whereas a Costco pie, you just had to wait in a 45-minute hellacious line trying to beat off someone. Don't beat off someone at Costco. Trying to beat someone away with a stick who's trying to grab the last pie. So those are both two factors. At the beginning of the episode, we posed the question, pumpkin pie, should you buy it or should you cook it? If you're someone who really enjoys baking and enjoys knowing that people tasted your personal touch in this pie, the taste really does come through. So for me, pumpkin pie, should you buy it or should you cook it? You should cook it, absolutely. The taste was there, and we saw that in the blind taste test. I saw it with my non-blind taste test, absolutely. This is a fantastic pie. That said, if you just wanna go out and buy a Costco pie, because you got stuff to do, I get it, life's busy, it's still a heck of a pie. I got nothing but love for Costco, and I can't compete with them in free samples. I am selling a TV though at a very reasonable price, so find me at Facebook Marketplace. Not a scam, maybe a scam. Thank you so much for stopping by the Mythical Kitchen. We got new videos out every week, and we got new episodes of our podcast. A Hot Dog is a Sandwich out every Wednesday wherever you get your podcasts. Hit us up on Instagram at Mythical Kitchen with pictures of your mythical dishes under hashtag Dreams Become Food. I'll see you next time. Happy Thanksgiving. Eat some pie. Get as messy as you want in your kitchen when you have the Mythical Kitchen Towel. Available now at mythical.com.